Good afternoon. Welcome to our conversations, where today we are discussing developing the art of listening. My name is George, and our series is designed to help you move on up and forward. All right. I'm a life and business coach, a Proctor Gallagher Institute consultant. I'm a speaker and a facilitator at Vula Unlock Consulting. And as I said yesterday, we're dedicating this week to a series, the I Love You series, in which we talk about relationships with others and with yourself. And yesterday, we opened up with watering relationships. And today we're about to talk about listening. You know, when you do these things well, you're never going to do it 100%, but when you do them well, you will find actually that you will display and show care for others and care for yourself. You understand yourself better and you understand others better. And in that way, you will develop healthy relationships all round. Okay. All right then. So let's start with something technical, okay? According to the Oxford Living Dictionaries, to listen is to give attention to sound or action. Sound or action. When listening, one is hearing what others are saying and trying to understand it and understand what it means. I quoted yesterday and I'll quote again today the statement from Brian McGill, which basically states that one of the most sincere forms of respect is actually listening to what others have to say. All too often we get caught up in ourselves, listening to what we want to say. We feel aggrieved about something. We want to say something. We don't take time to hear what the other person is saying, what they are saying, why they're doing what they're doing. And only when you hear and understand should you be in a position then to judge or accept those people for who or what they are. So listening is important because it improves relationships. And you will find that relationships where parties listen to each other consistently, those relationships are healthy because they get to understand each other. Listening also improves understanding, and understanding leads to healthy relationships. Ignorance, on the other hand, leads to toxic relationships. You're not hearing what the other person is saying. You have your own views and imposing those views, and you're going to have a toxic relationship. One of the biggest assets of a good coach is listening. Good leader is listening. If you can listen well to people, you are able to understand where they're coming from, and you can help them create goals about where they want to go and the trajectory they wish to take. But you've got to hear, listen, understand first. So you listen to understand first. And when you do that well, you are in a position then to help others. So listening also enhances productivity. So if we're talking the workplace, because what it does is that it improves the working conditions and it nurtures harmony amongst employees. All of you who are employed and have worked with bosses who don't listen can attest to the fact that you have unhealthy relationships because they don't hear you. And hearing another is not so much that they're right every time. No, it's hearing what's from their heart and do your best to meet them somewhere along the way. But understand them first. That's critical. That's absolutely critical. And that's why you will have toxic relationships in the workplace, because the one party knows everything and doesn't hear others, doesn't listen. See, listening also avoids conflicts. It avoids conflicts. And how many times have you come across people arguing heatedly about something? Heatedly. And it turns out, actually, when you listen carefully to the debate or the argument, you find that they're actually not far apart. They're just not listening to each other. I tell of a story which my former boss used to talk about, and it is the story of a man who arrives at the scene where two guys are arguing heatedly, and there's a bag full of oranges on the ground. One wants that, one wants to take it, the other wants to take it. They're really, really having a go at it. And when he listens, he finds out that the one wants the orange peels. He wants to make marmalade or something. The other wants the insides. He wants to make pulp. So both can actually enjoy what they want if they care to listen to each other, to listen to the wants of the other. How many times have you been in that situation yourself? Where in embarrassment, you realize, hey, we actually have been arguing for nothing because our needs are met without necessarily having to go through this aggro. So listening is important. It's important. So when you listen to a spouse or a colleague, you're basically saying, I care for you, I love you, I want to hear you, I want to understand you. And understanding somebody is not the same as agreeing with everything they say. It is understanding them. See, by listening, you are valuing what the other is saying. See, good people, whether they are leaders or just friends, ask questions and genuinely care about responses because they value what you have to say. All too often, you bump into somebody who says, hey, Georgie, what's happening? Hey, how is the family? And before you open your mouth, the guy is halfway across the corridor, is gone. But he was asking about the family. Don't ask about the family if you have no time to listen. Listen, because that's an important quality. Because sometimes one just listens, and somewhere halfway through, the person talking to you finds an answer in that. You know, they tell of a story of Abraham Lincoln at the time when he was supposed to sign into law the legislation proclaiming slavery unlawful. And the man twisted and turned, he struggled to come to some conclusion. He called a friend who was also a lawyer into the White House, and they sat down, and he says, listen, I want you to help me find a solution to this. So the guy sits across the table, and Lincoln is talking about the alternatives, the scenarios, the what if you, he's talking. This friend listened. They say he probably listened for I don't know, maybe 6-7 hours. as the guy just twisted that. It didn't say a word. It didn't communicate in the sense of giving direction. But after that, no, the man stood up, shook his hand, and said, "Thank you very much. I found an answer." But he listened. He listened. And by listening, you are helping somebody understand that. So when your spouse is talking, or when your colleague is talking, give them the time. It's worth its weight in gold. I like to say. Okay, so there are different types of listening. I went through, there must have been 8 of them or so. But I will just talk quickly about 5 because of our time that we have, right? There's what is called empathic or sensitive listening. This is where you're showing mutual concern, stepping into the other person's shoes to get a better understanding of what they're saying or going through. And here you're required to be present in the moment. You're all ears. You're present. And being present means you are there for the person who is talking to you. You are listening to them. Get out of the way yourself and focus exclusively on the other person. No judgment, just listen. And this type of listening is special because this is when people are hurt. They've got something to say. If you're a boss, if somebody walks into your office and he's got a story about what's happening back home, he's hurt. Don't be philosophical. Listen. And put yourself on the shoes of that person. You're basically saying, "I love you, my friend. I want to hear you." You may not have a solution, but that's not the point. The point is to hear, to listen, to be in their shoes, to be in the moment with them. That is what is expected of you. And this is critical. So when you want to develop yourself, these are the skills that you should develop. The skills of listening. So you add value to your spouse, to your workmates, to your colleagues, your teammates, to those who matter to you. Very important. I had an HR director once, Meshik Manyuma. He was a great listener. He was a great listener. You would talk and he was all ears. But he was in the right profession because he could hear, he could listen. And in the end, as I said, not always the time does he give you a solution, but he hears you. And that's important. The second type of listening is called comprehensive or active listening. This is what we taught at school. The teacher is teaching, you're listening, you're writing, you're taking notes. What is the teacher saying? It's an active process. You're listening whilst at the same time actively participating. You're taking notes, you're calculating. I used to attend some board meetings and a guy is saying to you, "Hey, sales are down because," and you're listening actively. Why is he telling us this story about why sales are down and he's got an excuse? Because you've got to understand where he's coming from. When presentations are happening, you're listening. Or you're listening to the news. Breaking news, this is happening. Now that is you listening to comprehend. Active listening, you want to understand what is going on. Then we have what we call appreciative or creative listening. Now this is for those of you who love your music and that kind of you're listening to jazz music or whatever music you're listening for enjoyment. Or you're listening to John Maxwell or somebody talking to you, or listening to church sermon, where you're listening to for enjoyment. It's creative listening. You're thinking at the same time, but you are hearing a message. Creative listening. But all these aspects of listening or types of listening I'm talking about, you can develop these. And if you are going to be a leader or adding value to your team, your colleagues, your friends, you better learn some of these things. Because when people show up at your doorstep, you must be in a place where you can listen and hear. Don't misunderstand. Let's not have the orange story where we are arguing about an orange which we can easily share. Why? Because we haven't listened. Healthy relationships are based on understanding. And remember what we said, you're coming from a place where you are saying, I love you, my friend. And I love you, my friend. I want to understand you. And therefore, practicing or developing the art of listening is a valuable tool in the arsenal of showing your love and how you care. The next one I'm going to talk about is critical analytical listening. And the goal of the listener here is to evaluate the content of a message and then deciding if the information is valid, right? So somebody comes and is trying to sell you a car or a new microwave or whatever he's trying to sell you. And you're listening to what he is saying about the item. So you're evaluating the message, the content, and deciding, is this information valid? So you're listening to a sales pitch. So focus is on whether the message is logical or reasonable. In my other life, I was in practice as a lawyer, and somebody would walk into the office, you haven't met them, and they're telling you a whole story happened. This has happened to me. There's a contract, and this was the contract, and you're listening. The reason why you're listening critically is to say, do you see essential elements of a contract there? Was there actually a contract? Because the guy doesn't know. He comes and he's telling you all this, and you're listening to ensure that you determine whether from what he is saying, there is actually a contract to start off with before you even go to whether there is breach or not. And so that type of listening, you got to develop it to hear and understand. Because he may come and think he's got a contract, but he actually never had. But you got to hear, at the same time, critically analyzing that information that's coming through to be able to say, oh yes, all right, so we had a contract actually. Now, let's talk about the breach. The last one I'm going to talk about is what we call discriminative listening. This one is important, right? Generally, the ladies seem to have an up on the men on this one. This is where you're able to identify and distinguish inferences or emotions through the speaker's change of voice, tone, their use of pause, their body language. You're able to listen and determine whether, in fact, there is truth or there is authenticity coming through from what they are saying. The words themselves are the same. The words themselves are the same. But it's the tone and the pause that determine whether, in fact, what they are saying is congruent to the intention that they set off with. So you are listening not so much to whether the word is love, but whether the action is love. Now, discriminative listening is important. And the more you develop it, the more you are able to have healthier relationships within, whether it's your business, your family. Listening. You know, I grew up in a home where I was an only boy in a family of 6, so 5 kids. And I always was told, this guy doesn't listen. He doesn't listen. Why? Because you spend all the time trying to run and going all over the place. But the older you get, the more you realize that actually, you know, it's such a powerful tool to be able to listen. Not be heard, but just listen. To understand where somebody is coming from. Having understood, then taking a position. And as I say, sometimes you don't need to take a position. The person himself will take the position. But by giving him your ears and showing that you are in the moment with them, you are adding immense value to their lives. And therefore, developing this art, by developing this art, you are helping colleagues, you're helping family, you're helping those who you touch every day. It's an important subject. I suggested to a colleague the other time that we must teach listening in schools so that the youngsters grow up understanding the various types of listening and becoming people who understand. Much of this violence that we hear and all is because guys don't listen. People are not listening to each other. But if we teach them from an early age to understand what listening is all about, hey, we will have better people, right? We'll have better people. Okay, so people with developed listening skills generally enjoy healthier relationships than those who haven't. And listening presents an opportunity to show other people that you care, that you're with them in times of need. All right, so as I said beginning yesterday, we would really want to hear from you about your wins in any venture that you're doing, what you're grateful for. I really do like that, you know. Just a little note, I'm grateful for XYZ. I'm grateful for a birthday. Somebody sent me a note to say they're grateful for God's love on them. Grateful for whatever. It's important. Let's hear from you. Share your aha moments. And sometimes you get stuck and you need somebody to help you come out of that position. Hey, give us a call. All right. So this is George. I'll be back again tomorrow as we continue our series, the I Love You series. Tomorrow we have talking uncomfortable conversations, and then we close it off on Thursday. But thank you very much for joining us, and like this video, share it with friends. Hey, subscribe to our YouTube channel and visit our website. Leave your comments there, and we'll be with you again tomorrow. Take good care of yourselves, and we love you. Bye-bye.